Welcome back to Berlin, where H2K are one win away from taking down the Ninjas in Pyjamas. Now, don't forget to stick around for the post-game lobby after this series, where we're going to be checking out your big plays of the week, Cap's mid-lane power rankings, and a whole lot more. You won't want to miss it, so stick around.
And you get to find out who put on long socks this morning, because somebody always forgets.
That's the important question.
The director chair PGL segment. Anyway.
I know it's never you, that's just why you're saying
Yeah, I know.
No name and shame.
Hey, I got to be the best at something there.
Fair enough.
But the team that has picked red side, it's always a mystery coming into this. Well, it's Ninjas in Pyjamas. They picked red side for game number 2 in the series.
Thanks for clearing that one up.
They did pretty well in game 1, a lot better than we were expecting. We're heading right into the draft. So let's see whether that rumble is a factor once again on the blue side. It was NIP that picked it and did very well for Profit in the top lane.
Just about everything we've seen Ninjas have some success on in the past aligned in one game, but it still wasn't enough to put it away. Will that change right here, right now? These guys are going to be hungry for a win. Still, 9 games in the European LCS across now 5 series. It just hasn't panned out for them.
We saw the lost records come up in the previous series with Dragonborns and Origin holding.
You don't want to be in that company, I'll tell you what.
No, you probably don't.
All right, well, we'll get into picks and bans here because the Shen was taken off the board by Ninjas. Clearly, they don't like their own kind very much, but it's followed up by the Galio and the Caitlyn away from EQ. And honestly, he had, up until the very end, almost a perfect game.
Yeah, EQ was doing pretty well. Unfortunately, in that one team fight at the end, got caught by Febiven, deleted, and down goes the game. So at this point, Rakan taken off the table means that no Rakan-Xayah duo. Banned by red side is a weird one because if H2K had gone the Thresh the first pick, you'd have the Rakan in response, but there is always Tahm Kench available. So we may just see jungle priority, the Kha'Zix or the Thresh here for the support at least coming through on Thresh.
Clearly Ninjas in Pyjamas, this is the second time they focused on Che. They just give him Thresh though in the first rotation.
Yeah, I mean, there's things you can trade for it here. You can pick up either the Xayah if you want it. You could take away the Kalista, grab yourself the jungle matchup of choice here. The Kha'Zix if Shook wants it, deny it from Jankos.
What is worth
The
giving
Zac
up the Thresh?
is available.
That's true. Shook could take that one. You can steal a whole lot of things when you're able to slingshot into the pit, and it looks like it's going to be a Varus picked up by EQ.
That wasn't the one I was expecting NIP to pick up, but it is no surprise. It's EQ. It is basically his most played AD carry for the entire season so far. And Ashe is the other option that we've seen out of them, but H2K, I think that might be where H2K opt in response.
You gotta think they're gonna pick up Zac with this. Otherwise, it's just a dead giveaway to Jankos. Or, okay.
Well, Rek'Sai has a better early game than Zac, but has less teamfight presence than you would anticipate. So the Rek'Sai here, Shook looking to get into lane early. That's what helped NIP have a good early game. I feel like Jankos hovering the Olaf, probably more just like a joking thing than actually picking it.
He loves to troll people in and out of champ select, for sure. They're gonna switch it up the last second. It's gonna be the Twitch locked in for Nuclear.
They're gonna Twitch it up at the last second. At that point, Jankos setting up Nuclear and Che for a much less defensive bottom lane. As you can see, it's more of a kill lane up against that Varus. Probably Zyra will get locked in as the last pick for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Either that or the Tahm Kench.
We'll see if it ends up being the case. H2K having a little bit of fun once again in the pick and ban phase. Last couple of seconds going away. And there it is. It's an all-green rotation. So
we got 2 junglers very good at getting through into the lanes out of unorthodox places. We'll have to watch Jankos and Shook throughout the early game of this. And NIP, we saw this in game 1. The Rumble working very well into the Gragas. Flame Horizon came out from Profit, and that means that they're setting themselves up in the same kind of situation. You can now ban away top laners, try and take away any advantageous matchups, and then NIP can focus themselves on getting Profit ahead again.
Yeah, but it was nearly a Flame Horizon in the mid lane as well, as Febiven was just equalizing that gold differential up in top, down in the mid. And we'll see if Ninjas in Pyjamas try to deny him some more picks. The Cassiopeia was already removed once. It is again.
No ban yet from H2K, 8 seconds left.
Taking the time about it.
This is Zyra we talked about being banned away. Varus Zyra, one of the strong matchups. If they do ban the Tahm Kench on the second ban here for phase 2, likely leaves NIP to just pick a Braum. into that bottom lane. One of the only other champions remaining that typically is played into Thresh, although you can play a lot of things into Thresh.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Thresh is obviously one of those champions that's always going to have a skill matchup for himself. So as the last ban comes in on the NIP side, it's going to be the Orianna trying to deny Febvin from doing that damage.
It's very tense.
Yeah, really. They're taking their time on these.
Yeah, H2K utilizing a lot of the time they have, as you were alluding to. So, if it's not a Braum here, what else do we see banned out? Maybe a Syndra or the Corki taken away from Nagne. Maybe that's another pick to take away so that H2K have themselves a more comfortable blind pick. But
it's a Talia. Okay, so what are they planning on the H2K side?
So it makes some more sense to go with support here with either Tahm Kench or Braum, and then utilize your last pick for Nagne, get himself a decent matchup. H2K may go Syndra, in which case you just pick Corki in response, is decent. You could also pick a LeBlanc and pick Corki in response. Pick Corki and then pick anything that you want. Still basically loses the matchup,
but you don't have to lose it too bad.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's see if H2K end up going with the Syndra as it's been left through the entire time here. We'll see. Good old Febvin special. Had himself a revival on a number of champions, of course. We already saw him flash a couple of fun ones from back in the day. I don't think we'll see in the Xerath today, but you never know.
No. With that Talia ban, it means Nagne can't be Lord of the Pit, but Lord of top lane, perhaps.
Odoamne, yeah. Well,
Very
he can make his own cage. We'll see how that goes. I mean, this could be a ridiculous team fight. You put somebody inside that cage, they are not going anywhere because you've got a Zac, you've got a Thresh, you've got, in 10 seconds if you want it, the Syndra.
That's the irony, though, is that we might have some weird interaction here where Jankos tries to absorb 3 people out of a Camille and one of them stays inside. That might be a bit of a weird one.
Well, we'll see how it all goes down, but that is going to be a real interesting fight for H2K as Febvin does get his hands on the Syndra, and now it is just left to see what Nagne is going to choose to counter it.
It's not going to be Mundo or Xin Shao, unfortunately. It's going to be the Corki.
Yeah, all right.
We talked about it before anybody had locked anything into mid lane. It just is such an unbelievably strong pick right now. And you can see that NIP, they theoretically are looking to get profit ahead like the last game. Have Nagne maybe not fall quite so far behind. But at the same time, you're playing into a Syndra. This is Febvin's Syndra as well. He's been very good at punishing people in the laning phase utilizing this pick.
Very true. Nagne's going to have to watch his back. Even in the last game, it was still a rough matchup for him. But H2K, they've got power in just about every side of it here. Odoamne on a pick like Camille. It ain't Fiora, but come on. It can still really tangle. Prophet could be in trouble once again. I wonder where the junglers will go to start things off. If they head towards the top side early.
I think that's where Shook's going. We'll have to watch out Jankos. He's been pretty good at tracking the enemy junglers for a while. And as we head into game, I think you got to look now. Shay, the roaming potential once again. It's harder to do on this Thresh, but you've got some sense of roaming towards mid lane. You can hook in lane, try and get yourself a kill, and see whether Odoamne can gather with the rest of H2K. Not quite so clear-cut compositions.
Well, it wasn't so clear-cut of a game from the H2K side. They let NIP back into the game on a number of occasions. And even in the early game, it went their way. You can see Jankos having a last-minute pep talk with the team, trying to get the boys all focused, ready, and fired up to take this 2-0 victory and come right back after their real rough loss against Fnatic earlier in the week. Can they do it? Can they close this one out in a 2-0? If you believe so, go ahead and hop on LOL Esports, at LOL Esports, I should say, on Twitter. Hashtag H2KWin. But if you believe in the Ninjas in Pyjamas, well, you know what to do. We're already in the game.
H2, what were those hashtags again? Because you didn't say NIP win.
I didn't. You got me.
Yeah. Bamboozled.
Yep. Every once in a while, as we start up on the game, a whole lot of Doran shields. I remember you can only pair those with 1 potion now. A little balanced.
A little bit more balanced, although we're still seeing Hiku build it on Caitlyn in the last game. I'm like, build it Orange blade, trade more effectively. But it's okay, of course, still the sustain is great. It's just not quite as overpowered as it was when you could buy 2 potions with it.
Che, nice. An easy dodge away. Nuclear's going up mid, though. Let's see what he's able to spot anybody. Looks like no. But the rest of H2K are kind of waiting and baiting around here, see if they can get a jump onto Shook.
Yeah, H2K kind of trying to deny one of the more common starts that we're seeing here. Corki goes over, helps the Rek'Sai on Raptors, puts the phosphorus bomb over the wall. You get a faster clear. You're much healthier. That's what NIP were looking to do, but unfortunately won't be able to do it quite as effectively.
Whoop. Oh, Che can't dodge that one. Spraddle wins the level 1.
Unfortunately, though, H2K had to drop away from that Raptors, so actually NIP are going to be just fine. As they can help out with Corki, but they've seen it.
Well, say what you will about the teams, but the sports are definitely having some fun.
Get to see two pretty quick early clear junglers here in the Zac versus the Rek'Sai, but it's bottom lane where we're going to see a lot of the trade. And kind of hyped up for this trade.
No kidding.
It's a Braum lane, probably not going to get a kill at level 1, but
let him dream.
Yeah, sorry, I'll let the crowd have fun.
Oh man. Well, if they get enough stacking on those arrows, you can always get a play going. But Nuclear and Che, this is an explosive lane. Not for the laning phase, for the team fighting, but they should have no trouble surviving. We've seen them hold their own. They did it last game against CQ and Spraddle. There's no reason to believe they can't do it again. I really want to keep an eye on the junglers, though. This is going to be the focus of the early game. You said early clear, but also the ability to get in the lanes and have an impact. Check back in on bottom. CQ gets flayed. Here comes Shook.
Uh-oh. This vision is based on movement. Oh,
sees the wolves.
Steals the whole camp.
Wow, that
Victory
feels
for
bad,
Shook.
man. One level advantage on the jungler. Okay, so Shook has given Jankos a hard time, not once, but twice here in this game. But checking back in with the mid, it's Nagne, who's once again falling to the might of Febvin.
That's the problem, is now Shook hanging around denies Jankos his ability to get onto the blue buff. But Jankos, maybe you can smack him around onto that blue buff.
Oh, trying to get a kiss with the blue buff.
Unfortunately, though, that aggro's the blue buff onto Jankos. Febvin's the first out of lane here, so Shook does have to be a little careful, but I think they're just going to back out, reset themselves on this one.
That was a bit of a wacky early game. A little yakety sax in the jungle right now. Blue buff going to reset, and Shook is going to be right there to absorb it as Jankos has to chill out right back in the base, so he's going to be set behind from the get-go.
This is really annoying for Jankos. Hook lands bottom lane.
There we go. They're trying to go in here as Nuclear getting a few stacks of poison out, takes in the lantern in, looking for HQ, but there's still a heal there up and available for both AD carries. Just some early trading.
Yeah, early trade, but H2K come out ahead of that. HQ's used his health potion. Spraddle's used one of his already, so that's all we're going to track throughout these fights. Oh, Che.
Those pesky minions just getting away.
Yeah. Finally, Shook grabs the blue buff as a prize. Doesn't, however, defend his own. So
yeah, all that might go to nothing.
You can see Spraddle actually is now leaving the lane to try and defend it, but it's way too late.
Yeah. Chase here, so they see this one coming. Spraddle's actually going to go ahead and take the blast cone over the wall, and now he might be able to defend. Jankos could be caught up here. Shook and Nagne are coming in. He's going to get the smite down. Can he make the getaway? Stands on top. Not enough.
Yeah, easy play out from H2K to equalize what NIP were doing. And you see for all of the time that Shook focused on the top side, to some extent, Jankos is not too bad. He is still down in experience, but look, Febvin roams out first.
Ooh, that's a flash. Away from the Scout of the Week. Yeah, this is a lot of testing that NIP are trying to do up against H2K.
But Febvin recently flashed as well, just before that exchange. So that is actually an opening for NIP. If they can get back in there, get the tunnel underneath Febvin and try and land that knock-up in the middle lane, that might be an opening.
Yeah, it's always the chance. We haven't really talked much about the top lane right now. It's been a relatively quiet affair, all things considered. But last game, it was the center of attention to kick things off. And now Otawamne is just easily trading it out with Prophet. But you got to be careful how quick you go into a rumble.
Yeah, you
Flames
do have to
doing a lot of damage.
Do have to obviously dodge around that heat. It was adapted not too long ago in the patch on 7.12. The heat drops off quicker. The reason Febvin flashed was a gank coming from Shook in the middle lane. We then saw the tail end of that.
Yep. Junglers continue to find each other in this game, but no early kills just yet, just a lot of attempts. It really just seems like they've been a little half-hearted, though.
Yeah, nobody's been all that committal.
Yeah.
Considering Shook spent about a minute in Jankos jungle.
Last game was a little bit all over the place and a little bit wonky to begin, so it seems like these teams aren't too keen to kind of go all at each other. I mean, Jankos, you got to think he's having a better time than he was last game. You really got to take a look at how he performed in the first 10, 15 minutes up against Shook. and you know, it was okay, but he had a rough start.
Yeah, both junglers kind of on the bad end of a lot of trades in the last game. You can see the Shook had the gold lead at 15 up on Jankos. For this game, it's experience that is a little bit more impactful. Shook well ahead of Jankos when you look at the route to level 6, about a third of the level at least. But it's Febiven trying to make the first roam. They know that he's here. Prophet knew Febiven was out of lane. Puts that control ward down, is able to defend against any kind of play.
Keeping it nice and safe. Nothing they're going to be too worried about playing for on the map to start things off. Shook working his way once again into the H2K jungle, but just to throw a ward this time.
Once again, though, Nagne struggling in the farm game up against Febiven. He was down 6 or 7 CS. And this early on, we've already started to see how Febiven can compound leads based on a CS differential. Interestingly enough, though, Febiven yet to win on Syndra in the summer split. 3 games played, 0 wins. See if he can turn his fortunes around on that pick.
Oh, they're well on their way with the 1-game victory. However, Jankos is about to face check right into Shook and Sprottle with the Unburrow. Surprise! He's going to have to go hopping. Takes the Lantern out right at the opportune moment.
Jankos smiting for health there as well at one point during that exchange. Hasn't really found comfort in his own jungle for a lot of this early game. And that's been a testament to what NIP have tried to do. We'll see whether it actually expands into a larger lead for them, though, because Shook on this Rek'Sai, he's going to have to get into lane, start causing a little bit of trouble, start getting on top of some of the H2K carries, perhaps. Febiven has no flash still. Shook's nearly level 6. That would be the time to do it.
Yeah, always possible. Ooh, and that's a flash for flash, and another one following through. Shook has got his eyes on the bottom side, and it looks like it's going to be first blood over to the jungler from NIP.
We were looking at how maybe it was going to be the level 6 point for Shook. Well, he manages to get down into the bottom lane, even pre-level 6. That's the 9th first blood in a row for the Ninjas in Pyjamas here in the summer split.
Pretty sure it's all been Shook, too, or just about.
Well, he's been involved, got this one again, so padding some of those stats.
Nicely done for him right now, and that's going to give NIP a bit of a gold lead. That was a really, really quick just flash follow-through from the Ninjas.
Yeah, and they caught Jankos a little bit during a farming period up on the top side of the map, so it meant Jankos wasn't there in actual fact to respond. Jankos beat Shook to level 6. We were talking about how the experience should have been in NIP's favor. Well, it didn't even matter that the level 6 point wasn't there. EQ didn't connect with the crowd control, but 3 versus 1 under the tower. It's going to go in Nip's way more often than not. Easy pick up onto Nuclear, who now has no summoners himself.
Had to pop both his just to try and stay alive. Futile effort there. Shook will be able to grab himself the red buff on the back half of it all, as Jankos on the other side was donating the blue over to Febiven, who has his flash up and available again, so it'll be a little harder for Shook to try and make a follow-up play there. Nagne still actually hanging pretty tough on the farm. It's only been a 3 minion disadvantage, but I guess it's about to even up as Febiven just clears away the wave right there.
Yeah, he's caught up. It also means Febiven can't quite do so much in the trading while Nagne has the Hex Drinker. So in that respect, Nagne able to keep on. There was that wave in front of Febiven, though, and that opens the CS disparity right back up as Nagne had recalled out.
Of course. But it still seems to be the long laning phase for both these teams. With some jungle intervention, of course, it really hasn't been too much action, and we do have another very valuable dragon on the bottom side of the map, and it's a lot of NIP vision
and Nagne
around it.
With the package, you said we haven't had impact, we haven't had a lot of emphasis on fights. Well, this would be the time for NIP maybe to look for one, as that package is about halfway through the duration. Bottom side vision around the dragon is in favor of NIP. They have at least some vision control, so H2K can't rush towards it. But Yanko's going to do his best to clear that out.
Yeah. NIP hadn't even found any members of H2K. In all honesty.
This is sad. Package is going to tie him out.
Well,
Corki's good at taking blue buff on his own. With Sheen, he will probably lose a decent chunk of health, but it doesn't really matter at that point. You take the blue buff so fast that you end up okay.
Shook can be making his way all the way down here into the river. It looks like the rest of H2K have gathered. Maybe now's the time to get things going. Past 10 minutes on the clock, the Mountain Drake up and available. H2K all of a sudden getting a little antsy to try and get some action going.
Well, they know that they're quite strong now in the sense that if you dive with the Zac, you of course have the cell division, you can kind of keep yourself alive. You've got the ultimate available as well. With no wave, though, it's kind of a tricky ask. You'd easily kill the Corki. with the Syndra damage as well. Here goes Jankos.
Unleash the power, and in comes Jankos to follow through, pulls him right back on in, but there's a teleport coming, and Nagne has survived the onslaught of damage here. Teleport will not finish. Prophet ends up canceling it as he makes his way up top.
I said easily kill Lukorki, actually. That Hex Drinker allows Nagne to stay alive, not even utilize the flash or the exhaust coming through. So that was actually a lot safer for Nagne than first anticipated.
Yeah, able to stay alive, doesn't burn any summoners, neither does Febvin. But yeah, the lane phase continues right now. Still the slim advantage from First Blood over to NIP, and as Che checks the brush, you get the back from Spraddle. In comes Jankos once again, but that's just to clear the last of the wave.
Observers baiting everybody, thinking Nagne was in lane. They fooled him. Nagne was in base. Now it's just a push onto the tower.
And man, everybody gets debated once in a while, including us.
At that point, Nagne, there was no baiting him around the tower. He already backed away.
Nah, he's playing nice and safe.
Gets out.
That's the thing,
However,
NIP are continuing this defensive kind of mindset, right? Like, they're not going for the big plays, and Nagne, unfortunately, is unable to hop that wall with the Valk. He has to flash it.
Yeah, this time needed to flash. Knew that the ultimate would have come as a follow-up from Jankos if it have connected with that Q. Shook, however, looking for a play down on the bottom side. Remember, the Thresh is on the other side, so this isn't the Lantern play that they're looking for, and there's no TP available.
Nagne's coming in too.
Bringing Nagne down.
Boy. Jankos picking his red buff up. It looks like they're gearing up for the fight.
Jankos is here. Like, I don't know whether NIP this is going to favor them.
Right into Spraddle here. He's got one stack.
has TP.
Another. Pulls in Spraddle, but the rest of NIP have arrived, and Jankos is bouncing down into the bottom lane, but this is chaos here, as Shook is going to get taken low, but not taken down. Shay's going to be the first casualty on this fight, and Odoamne trying to join the fray, but he is not fast enough to get out of harm's way. H2K are able to turn that one right around. It's a 2 for 2.
Yeah, 2 for 2, but at that point, you look at it, H2K, they brought Odoamne down to the fight. Prophet didn't have his teleport available, so he's being focused up on the top side. H2K need more from this if they want to take the exchange. The kills did go on to Nuclear, which is a good benefit for them. But an even trade is not exactly what H2K were looking for from that. Now Nuclear was pushed up on his own.
He does have his flash, but he's not going to get a chance to use it. It looks like Nuclear is going down to Hikyu.
Exactly the same mistake we saw from Nuclear in game 1. Overstaying after H2K getting something from an engagement and then getting turned on by the bottom lane of NIP.
But all of a sudden the ghost switch is happening all across the map. We're seeing some moves all over the place. Prophet trying to hang tough, and he's going to survive until Jankos comes forward with a stretching strike to finish the job, and Febvin's even going to be able to pick up Spraddle. It was a heroic effort, my friend.
H2K were trying to give the kill to Febvin, and Spraddle very nearly saved Prophet's life, but if it wasn't for Jankos being able to flash forward, it would have been a very different end to that exchange.
Oh, that's just fun. All right, well,
squad goals,
yeah.
if it actually worked, I guess, at that point.
Well, here's the start. Here's the start of all the action, where Jankos pops right into Spraddle and decides to go bouncing.
Note Febvin's position in the base at this point. Running to the fight ends up being a 5v4 for H2K. This is a great start, getting at least Shook and Nagne towards that tower. Problem is, Shook is able to take out Shay before he drops. And then Odoamne was left 1 versus 3 almost. Jankos was there, but took him a while to be able to have that impact once again in the fight after that initial ultimate.
Well, I mean, the smoke clears right now, and it's still a very even game. NIP holding that incredibly slim gold advantage, but it's 4-4 in kills. We're 15 minutes into this one. And this is where that early defensive mindset isn't going to be doing you any favors. They're going to look to try and make some plays here. NIP have to try to find something back, even if it's been kept close. They're going to have to try and make these plays to get H2K off their feet in a bad way. Let's see. Nagne, they hop in. It's Jankos looking for him. Scatter the weak, but panned away from it as the Twitch is going to be caught up. Nuclear nowhere to go. He's locked up, and the Lantern is going to save his life. But Shook's right on top of him and finishes the kill.
Premonitions. Knowing bot lane was where the kill was coming through. NIP able to push down the tower now on top of it. And again, very similar to game number 1. NIP with the lead in the early game. They've been taking it toe-to-toe up against H2K here.
But this time they get the tower First Blood on top of that kill, so we'll see what they're able to get done, opening up that gold lead for themselves.
And remember, coming into today, NIP were ranked 3rd for first tower percentages, with 62% of their games they ended up securing that, and they've done it once again.
H2K at least are able to finish off a tower in the mid, but that was a long time coming, and It gives them a little bit more of that gold back, but we're going to take a look at how Nuclear got locked up.
Yeah, just ult from HQ. Nuclear had his flash. You gotta flash that. And if he does flash, Che has Lantern. It would have been an easy escape for H2K, but this has been something we've seen from Nuclear a couple of times. Yeah. Not flashing some of the more telegraphed crowd control. I don't know what it is. This has happened a lot.
Yeah, a little bit odd. Sometimes maybe just a little overconfident going up against the likes of HQ and Spraddle, but NIP have been focusing on this bottom lane a lot more this game. It's been to the detriment of the H2K bot lane.
And I feel like HQ was in a position in the last game on the Caitlyn that he could have carried, but Febiven found him in the team fight, took him out, and the game ended in favor of H2K. Don't know whether I am quite as confident on the Varus. It is one of HQ's favorite champions.
Well, he hasn't died on it yet either. He really only went down at the end there, but Jankos was looking for him to try and pull him back in. Instead, he has to take the Lantern escape. Didn't like that one.
Weird little noodly arm. Flies back away.
Yeah, EQ was almost touched by the noodly appendage. We know what church Jankos goes to.
I suppose we do, Devin. I suppose we do.
Hey, I live on the internet, all right?
I mean, we are broadcasting on the internet. I'm pretty sure somebody at home records on a VHS tape the EULCS and is playing it back, and they're like, wait, what?
I don't think that's how VODs work. Pretty sure. I have it on good information. Okay, now here's your top lane focus. Ottawamne. He's going to be able to sniff that one out from a mile away. Meanwhile, Jankos and Nuclear are easily going to clean this one up. Mountain Drake going over to them was 18 minutes before anyone even looked at it. And NIP kind of lollygagging here around this river, not even thinking about going for the Rifts Herald.
H2K are, after picking up the Mountain Drake, there's not a whole lot for them to do on the map. They're going to try maybe and defend topside, but it's so low that that tower will just end up falling over quite quickly. I don't think NIP need the Rift Herald to make this play.
No, but NIP are going to be able to go up to this top side, finish off this tower. It seems like it's just a game of you go here for one objective, we go there for another. Back and forth it goes for a little while, but H2K seem to be the team that is starting this off.
And the thing is, look, nobody from H2K has gone to collect bot lane yet. Now Nuke's caught.
And that looks like Che is going to get fired down, but not fast enough as Jankos is going to hop in. Teleports aplenty here, but it's Febiven who's going to draw the first kill in this fight, and HQ gets pulled right back into the team, into the waiting arms of Nuclear as Shook trying to make his great escape, but Ottawamne says, oh no, you don't! Nagne, get over here! And he's going to be fired down. A double kill now for the Camille, and H2K just opened up a serious can of killing the hell out of that team.
Yeah, playing Protect the Flubber at the end of that fight as Jankos was able to divide his way back into life, and now they push on towards the tower. It looked to have been a good catch for NIP, but the fight turnaround comes from H2K. They have a lot of crowd control, but you have to balance in the team fight. Looked like it started out the fight catching Nuclear. It turns out Nuclear ends that fight basically with full health because it was Che that was the one that was really in danger.
Yeah, you're right. He used just about everything on the Thresh, and they didn't even get his health bar all the way down to size. So still, once again, very close on the gold game, but H2K, they've turned the lead in their favor. Now it's just shy of 20 minutes, and there's an easy-to-take tower up top. They can go back, reset, finish it off again when they like. And here was how it all began. Che just straying a little bit too far out.
Che starts on, as you said, they don't even get his health bar low. Nuclear was the one that healed through that for Che, and then is able to output damage. Jankos, again, this is the kind of crowd control that makes it difficult to turn a fight. And Ottawamne able to follow forward with that flash. Everything going the way of H2K for this fight. It's been a good early game for NIP, but there's always these one or two fights that they just don't seem able to balance. Don't seem able to get the other end of with that win, and it kind of holds the game closer perhaps than you think it should.
Yeah, we've seen H2K have a few moments where things have just gone not quite their way, but it looks like this might be one of those. Even though it was Shook going in onto Che, they've turned it around damage-wise, and in comes Jankos flying through and pulls Spraddle and Shook together for the kill. And Nagne trying to make the hero play, gets flayed back, caught up on the hook, a double kill for the Twitch, and Nuclear is having a blast this game. Once again, Jankos is coming in, and fortunately this time he couldn't save the life of the rat.
And this time Febiven nowhere near the fight on the second half, meaning Nuclear Doesn't have anybody else to output some damage there. Jankos no passive, remember, but able to slingshot his way out of the fight.
Meanwhile, Odoamne is just doing this thing.
Yeah, just pushing down. Didn't have TP, couldn't get to the fight, but nevertheless, H2K still somewhat holding even on the fight basis, but now NIP. They were wondering whether anyone was taking that lantern from Che.
Oh, hello. At the end of the day, you just needed to throw down the Dark Sphere.
Yeah.
All right. Bedvin, 306, pretty respectable. Here's the start of that. Shook wants to go all in.
Yeah, this is the engage onto Che. The ult does not land from Hikyu. And unfortunately for NIP, the ultimates are back available once again for H2K. Good equalizer through the fight means Nuclear, as he's trying to kite forward, doesn't have a whole lot of range of motion in this fight. Prophet eventually gets through the fight, is able to put the damage down, and despite Jankos kind of trying to body block, it doesn't really work against the Flame Spitter. Just roasts everything, boils that water. It's kind of gross.
Just a little bit.
Not as weird as SKT Zach's gonna be, because that's weird, where it's just like, eats a bit of himself.
I don't want to think about it.
That's gross.
All right, H2K. I mean, this is where the lead starts to get out of control for them. They've got the map control. They've got the vision. They can keep pushing around. It seems like NIP, this is more of the classic type of game that we see from them, where they're okay for the first 15. They trade a little bit, and then it just starts to fall apart. Game 1 seemed a little different because they held it so close for so long and had some better fights. But now we're starting to see the messiness. Now we're seeing them tag teaming in and trying to go all in on one guy, blowing all their ultimates and just not getting anything as a result. Shook goes in with the tunnel, doesn't find the kill. Nagne tags in on the back half of the fight and doesn't get anything. Prophet gets one. That's about it.
Yeah, NIP been trying to just fight as hard as they can for this entire matchup, and unfortunately, it might be a similar gold graph again.
Yeah, well, I mean, this one's nice and flipped because H2K are on the blue side.
Yeah, but the shape holds true at NIP, even to a head. This is maybe one of their larger leads that they've had, but still, it's starting to kind of turn around in H2K's favor. Here comes another fight.
Jankos wants to go in this time. He gets a stretching strike onto Nagne, but can't find a partner for them to dance with. And Odo just coming around the backside of this. Red carpet gets thrown down by Prophet to cut off the rest of H2K. And that will be the disengage now for the Ninjas.
And NIP didn't lose anybody yet. Odoamne trying to jump forward into the fight, but it's all about vision control at this point for H2K. They have enough wards up on the top side to be able to at least move freely between the jungle, the river, trying to deny NIP any chance of contesting objectives, but it's bottom side that they're really committing to as the Drake is about to spawn.
Yeah. A lot of members of NIP up on the top, but you can see they're a little scared. They don't want to start anything off. Clearly not strong enough to take out the Baron on their own, and Jankos and Nuclear can just tag team on the Cloud Drake, give themselves a little extra movement speed, try and get these fights set up a little faster.
It's going to be about the split push game the later this goes for Odoamne at least. No TP available right now means that NIP maybe have some sense of an advantage if they do catch H2K with Odoamne out on the side lane, but that will expire in a couple of minutes.
But the real issue right now is Febvin. We saw recently what he was able to get done just by throwing down a Dark Sphere. He hasn't died this game. He's only getting stronger. 2.5 items. And it's going to get out of control.
Nuclear, on the other hand, he's got a lot of damage, but also has died a lot. So if he survives through a fight, gets that damage out with that 5 kills that he's earned himself, that should be all they've written for NIP, but he has died quite a lot, and that can't really be afforded from H2K's standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, against a team like NIP, maybe you can get away with it a couple of times, but we got to see them stepping that up, cleaning it up as they go up against tougher opponents. But for the time being, they still got their eyes on the prize for this one. Jankos goes in, but not far enough does he stretch.
Yep.
In the end, Che has to lantern him out.
Couldn't find the engage, and it feels like this game has become quite repetitive. Jankos throws himself at NIP back away, Jankos gets chunked low, Jankos recalls, Jankos comes back onto the map, tries to throw himself at NIP, and NIP back away. I hope one of these attempts for either team is more successful in the next couple of minutes, because this game's starting to dry up when it comes to some of the successful fights.
Yeah. Well, at least NIP proper attire for a snoozer.
Oh, here we go again.
Jankos going in, and they get the hook this time, and oh, they pull everybody together. That's going to be a whole lot of damage, and Yanko says, let's go bounce, and I think you like it. Nuclear cleaning house on the back of it, but it looks like Prophet's going to be able to get at least one kill in the end. Nagne tries to be the hero, but it is just not enough. Prophet, as the last man standing, is going to try one more time, but the hook pulls him in for the quadra kill. And Nuclear's huge.
Wins the fight without Odoamne even being there. Means H2K split their focus, but do it well enough. Yanko's going to have the assistance now of the 9-kill Nuclear. Baron buffs going H2K's way. This game has gone full into their favor.
Oh man, dive 4 times, a couple in lane just to give the enemy team false hope, and all of a sudden, rat-a-tat-tat, spray and pray. I don't care what you call it, but that was sick.
H2K able this time to find the engage. We talked about needing to find a more successful one. Well, hook on to the stretching strike out of Jankos was enough to catch everybody, and it's scumbag Jankos. He started the fight. The first kill went his way. Yeah, it wasn't intentional.
Yeah. We said this was going to be all about Febiven, and he just goes down because Prophet was right on top of him.
We also said if Nuclear stays alive, he's the one that will win the fight for them. And he stayed alive, and he won the fight for them. Quadra kill goes his way. Significant amount of damage. Wouldn't be surprised if that was like close to 8,000-9,000 damage from that fight. Okay, well, it
still a lot. Hey, we need to wait a little while, then we'll get into that level. It's only 28 minutes. Remember, the last game honestly went a lot longer than we usually expect from the Ninjas. Pyjamas. Shook going in onto Jankos. Scout of the week. It's going to stop him in his tracks. But the teleport's coming in for Prophet right now. Jankos wants to go bouncing into the tower, and Redemption keeping him healthy for just a moment, but Shook picks up Febiven all the same. Che is going to be able to finish off Nagne. Actually, it ends up being Nuclear who gets a kill himself. Jankos pulling everyone together with the last tick of his health bar, and Nuclear's going off again. How about that for 2 more kills? And Shook, you ain't going nowhere.
It has gone from an even game to a nearly clean ace in favor of H2K, only losing Febiven once again. H2K have completely blown this game wide open, and you saw Nico watching on for NIP. I don't think there's too much hope of them continuing on in this game. H2K too far ahead with 2 minutes of Baron buff still alive.
Before all those fights, we saw the gold graph and how it had started to trend downward for NIP, as usually expected, but this is the cliff just going right off the rails here. Sprattle's up to defend. Nagne's there as well, but with 28 minutes on the clock, it is such a massive gold lead right now, and Odoamne is going to be able to just keep split pushing with this Baron buff.
Yeah, the rest of the team are going to empowered recall out. Odoamne will take the tower down. And it's just going to be an easy reset point. 1 minute 30, they can walk the minions back up with the Baron buff. And again, at this point, Yanko so far ahead, has that Gargoyle Stone Plate on as well. Drags 2 people into the back line, right into the waiting arms of Nuclear. And it's an easy pickup on the kills to start this. Prophet is realistically one of the only ones being able to do damage. Nagne is in a lot of trouble.
Oh yeah, nowhere for him to go right now. Gonna have to rely on falcing away from danger, but there is no escape route for you. Nagne is going, and gone with legendary Nuclear, 13-4.
Looked like Jankos actually blocked the Valkyrie on the way out of that. H2K just styling on NIP now.
Yep.
That's a 1v3. Che doesn't want that at this point.
They're not styling that hard yet.
No.
No, you need some time. I mean, you could see the item difference is huge at this point. Jankos has his Gargoyle Stone Plate. He had picked up his mask earlier on just to try and keep himself.
This time, yeah,
Che wants down. They got the teammates in, and Jankos is going to hop into the party. Odo joining the fight as well, and Febiven starts it off by taking down Prophet. Nuclear is unloading all of his damage for a double kill, and that's like that. There are no NIP members left. Clean ace. 30 minutes on the board, and boy, was this a different kind of game. But in the end, it is H2 what? H2-0, baby.
Even game for the majority of that once again for NIP, but you look at the winner at the end of that game, H2K putting up massive numbers, the most kills for a player this split already out from Nuclear on this Twitch, 15 kills to end that game. H2K looking a whole lot more convincing at the end 10 minutes of this series than anything else before.
Yeah, I mean, Nuclear is kind of an allegory for this game. He goes from 0 to hero, and all of a sudden, everything lines up right. The Zac goes in, he pulls in 2 members, Che pops his ult on, and everybody's stuck in the box, and it's shooting fish in a barrel for the Twitch.
Yeah, it was easy setups in those kills. Like, Jankos jumps in, grabs 3 people, drags them into the back line.
Oh, man, that was... But I don't know why it took so long for them to get to that point. it was a very strange series from the offset, but that last 10 minutes was how we honestly expected most of it to go.
And that's something that I figure like H2K will probably go back and try and think to themselves, it's like, why did it take us so long to have that massive impact? And game one, very close all the way throughout. If it hadn't have been for a clutch shockwave right at the end, may have gone a different way.
That's very true. It was quite a long game one, and you look at the way that game ended, it's hard to even think it was happening in the same series. NIP showed encouraging signs in that first game. The second one, it was a little weird. Let's be honest here. That was a strange start to both games. Yanko's having a little bit of a tough time. Shook coming in, stealing his jungle away. But in those jungle fights, that's where things started to turn around. That's where Jankos was really shining.
And I
Still
think
king of the jungle.
Despite both series today being a 2-0, a lot of credit was earned by both Mysterious Monkeys and NIP today. Sure, there were mistakes by both teams.
Right.
But looking at their opposition, Fnatic, H2K, you anticipated that these would have been clean 2-0s without much contest. Can't be said. NIP, for the first 30 minutes of game one, first 20 minutes of game two, actually holding an even game. Generally looking quite clean, setting up some fights for themselves.
Well, you see that some of these lower tier teams do have the ability to kind of hang tough for a while to make trades. Even in the first couple of weeks, we were seeing that they were still making mistakes even then, but holding on. When everyone was still trying to figure out the way the meta was going to be on patch 7.10, et cetera, you know, you can kind of forgive that. You can think, whatever, all that stuff's kind of going to happen. But now, even weeks on, we're still seeing them fight it out. There is no team that is just not doing anything. That's lying back and taking losses. And that's great to see.
And that's interesting for the rest of cross-group play now, where we're going to see the likes of an NIP versus, one of the middle pack teams, maybe versus a Vitality across group from them? Or is it Mysterious?
You put me on the spot.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. When we get those middle versus bottom of the table, that's where we're going to see
I want to see them
games.
against the Mysterious Monkeys, because based on what we saw from both teams today, that's going to be a really interesting
That's going to be a real fun series when you look at it. And yeah, it's Vitality, the cross series from NIP.
I was testing.
This could be good save. Good save. Drop me in it, but
of course, naturally.
Just save yourself. It's okay. Interesting series there. As you said, the Mysterious Monkeys NIP series is going to be a fun one. And I think it's going to be a close series for more reasons than the Origin Roccat series was from Spring Split.
I just hope it's not so long.
I don't know. It was quite fun.
One,
That was one of the most memorable series
like 10
for a lot of
portals
reasons.
and everything is pretty interesting.
But I think you're right, though. Both teams now that do sit at the bottom of the table do show a step up compared to what we saw in the Spring Split.
Absolutely. Well, let's not talk about the losers. That's going to do it for us here at the caster desk. For more on H2K's win, Dracos is standing by with their player of the series.
I am indeed. Thank you, Pyra. And, of course, a little bit of a spoiler there. But Fevin, earning player of the series, how does it feel?
Great.
Love it. So much detail. Absolutely love it. Of course, coming into this matchup, I feel like H2K was the clear favorite, but in the games, a lot of them felt pretty long. A lot of them felt pretty back and forth. How did you feel overall about the team performance?
I think we played pretty sloppy again. I don't know exactly what happened the first game, but we were behind on top and bot lane and jungle. So there was a lot of pressure into my lane, which I couldn't really extend my lead, which I had. And I think we still managed to stall it fine and get our scaling and get the good fights. And the second game, I think we were, one kill down as well, but I think we had pressure most of the time on the map, and I think it was fine with the picks we had, because we had Zac, Twitch, Syndra. Our scaling is just insane. So.
Were you surprised in the draft phase to get so many of those picks, to kind of get the optimal matchup on the top side of the map, to get the Zac in the jungle so late as well?
Yeah, it was kind of weird, because usually people don't hesitate to pick Zac because it's really OP champ. But yeah, we already saw that they pick Rek'Sai over Zac, so it's just free. And we had priority in mid-top jungle, so just better champs, I think.
Definitely worked out for you guys. Still get the 2-0 at the end of the day. Now, I'm curious, we look back earlier in the week, series versus Fnatic. I don't want to go into too many details there, but I'm curious, because you talked about sloppy performances again today. What do you think is the biggest struggle right now for H2K in terms of competing with top teams?
I think it's really weird, because I think in scrims we play really aggressive and we're really confident and stuff. And then yesterday, when we played against, 2 days ago when we played against Fnatic, we were playing really scared, and I felt like our drafts didn't really enable us to come back in the game, because we had champions that are not that good from behind. So yeah, it's just weird to see us play really safe when we are playing really aggressive in scrim. And I think we just have to get more confident on stage with like doing the plays we do in scrims. And yeah, then I think it's our biggest weakness now.
In the past, H2K has always kind of been a team that's been so close but never quite been able to make it to the point where I think naysayers of H2K say you guys kind of have a tendency to choke in these high-pressure games. Is that something that you're very aware of as a team? Is that something you feel like is fair to say, or do you feel like there's more there and that might not be the case?
I think we already showcased like choking and like playing really scared in like playoffs and like, for example, games 2 days ago. And I think it's good that it happens now. I think the games right now, even though we are third in the group, I mean, we just want to get to playoffs and we want to get to the finals. You know, it's like, as long as we get to playoffs and we get ready for playoffs, then I think that's all we're going for right now. Even though we want to win every game, it's not always the optimal if you can learn from your losses and be stronger in the playoffs.
Definitely makes more sense to prep for the long haul rather than the immediate future. Well, final question. We've seen Mysterious Monkey put up some good fights today, as we mentioned earlier. NIP doing pretty well at some points in the big game against you guys. Do you feel like the bottom teams in the LCS right now are better than what we saw in spring? Because it seems like, though they're still not winning games, they are putting up a lot more fights than we saw in spring split.
Yeah, I think for sure. Like, I think the bottom teams has improved and the top teams has become even better. So it's kind of like a fight. So there's still a really big gap between the top teams and like the bottom teams. But I guess the top teams can fight each other and the bottom teams can fight each other. And then we still have a nice season, right?
Definitely exciting to watch so far. Well, congrats again on Player of the Series and your win for H2K. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. That's going to do it from us. So now all that's left is to send it over to Shocks and the post-game lobby.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the post-game lobby. I'm joined by the Fisho, Caps, and Soaz to take a look back at the first week of cross-group play. Hello, nothing really changed. We were just on a desk, but now we're sitting. Have you found a good way to sit on the chair?
No, I have not. I'm like this, and then I'm this, and then I'm just going to sit like this and,
Seems
chill with
like
my
you're
friends.
sitting to me. All right, let's kick it off with you guys, with Fnatic. A very strong performance in cross-group play. You guys lost to Roccat last week, but you bounced back phenomenally. You beat H2K, obviously. Today, you also beat the Mysterious Monkeys. And maybe for people who haven't caught the H2K series, once again, we're going to take a look at some of that. So as repeated, what was going so well? What was on point from Fnatic in that series?
I don't know, I feel like it's a bit, as Fabian said earlier, they are just playing scared and it allows us to do whatever we want on the map. So we just like pick them apart and yeah, went for a really good dive top lane in game 1 and not really sure. We just played good and they didn't play so good, I guess.
Yeah, it looked pretty easy. Caps, how much did your Corki have to do with the crushing victory?
I mean, I think game 1, I was just laning mid on the first tap and then I saw 5-0 cannon. So, I mean, I guess in the early game at least, I felt like Yankas was constantly invading our jungle. So he was actually trying to do some proactive things, but they weren't able to do more than just invade our jungle and get some camps. So once we saw the opportunity, we just went for a bot play, and instead of getting a few jungle camps, we got a few kills, maybe a turret, and it turned out that that was more work. So.
Yeah.
I have to ask.
Go ahead.
Because Corki builds, we've seen different ones. You're the only player to play the Ruin King second. Why?
We saw Tem do it in Korea, and always copy the Koreans.
So simply just copy the Koreans. Okay, so when the next Korean builds IH second item, then Caps is gonna change too. All right, cool.
I mean, I play a lot of Corki games in solo queue, and I just went for whatever I felt like did more damage. And I tried every build pretty much. Like I tried so many different things. I tried AP, I tried everything. And I really felt Blade did the most damage.
Proper research. I wonder which Korean played Orianna, Rod of Ages, Nashor's Tooth.
Oh yeah, Faker.
Maybe we're missing something.
Hey. From scrims,
From scrims. Final word maybe about H2K. Fibvin had a lovely interview there where Dracos asked him about, hey, is the choking, is that still a problem? And he said, well, it's good that it happens now, but I guess the Fisho, what you've brought up too, and why you said this is the last time I put my money on H2K is because it doesn't matter if it happens now, it's going to happen again, it seems like.
Yeah, again, so let's pretend it never happened before, and they just played Fnatic this week, and there was some choking, and they were like, once, You're like, okay, no problem, that's fine, we can believe in that. When it's happened multiple times, as you just said, against other top teams last, but quarterfinal, fun enough against Fnatic as well, 3-0. I don't know. I mean, there's clearly a deeper problem that H2K as a team has not managed to fix with some of the vocal members they have on them, and also maybe probably as a coach.
Yeah. Possibly, but does it all matter? They were the only team. They were the best performing international team last year at Worlds. They got to the semifinals.
It matters if you want to do that again.
Yeah, it does matter if you want to do that again. So, well, we'll see if that happens. But Fnatic, for now, they are the kings of the castle in terms of EULCS. And we want to talk a bit about Reckless. And earlier, the Fish Show also took a deeper dive into Reckless's cannon and what makes it tick. For the full breakdown on the electric yordle, hit up youtube.com/LOL Esports. You guys can check that out later as well. The Fish Show had a whole rant, very informative rant about why cannon works for you guys or not. So I want you guys to tell me now. First up, Soaz, obviously, you're always often in combination as Shen with the cannon. Why is it so special for Fnatic and so important?
I mean, first, I don't even think Reckless is the best cannon on the team, but...
Oh!
It was me, or?
No, what does it work for us? I mean, it's one of the ADs that you can pressure sideline with. So they always have to put like more members on the sideline. Support usually have to go with the ADC and all this kind of stuff. As Reckless can usually go on the sideline alone, and we can be proactive on mid during this time, or we can look for picks on the sideline because he's pretty strong 2 versus 2 versus 3 champion. So it's just one of the proactive AD, and he likes to play it, so it's good. It fits us well, so it's fine.
How did this playstyle start? Because like obviously Spring Split, you guys early on were trying to play like every other team in Europe, and then halfway through, Nico the Pico was no longer on the team, and it was like the players took control, rioting all around the Fnatic house, and then suddenly, did you guys just in scrim just started playing like split pushing 80 carries again, and it just clicked, or?
I mean, I think we are playing. Not really sure. Like we are not playing so many like different champion. Maybe in terms of like style, we are just forcing a bit more right now, and we are trying to pick like a lot of proactive champions, so anyone can create plays basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just easier. Like if you have a team comp with really little CC, it's gonna be really hard to be able to team fight. So if you're behind and you don't have much CC, then you cannot. If the team you're playing against is minimum good, you cannot engage on them. And so if you have a lot of CC, you have multiple ways to possibly come back into the game and create fights and scenario where you can possibly win.
Yeah, makes sense. Caps, the idea that everyone has kind of the power and the will to make plays on Fnatic and it can be responsible for winning the game. Is that something that you've been doing more and more now? Have you been feeling more comfortable to do that and take those decisions for the team in games?
I mean, I think it's hard to have that. I mean, there's not that many proactive mids, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Talia,
there's some Talia, some Syndra, and I can look for things, but in general, the mid laners we play, it's not like I'm doing that much proactive engages. Sometimes I will look for Talia ult on site, so I will look for Syndra stuns to engage and stuff like this. But I think it's more thing from like top 80 and support where we look for a lot of proactiveness. And yeah, I mean, it's been working so far.
Yeah, it's absolutely been working for you guys. It's not been working so well for G2. Let's turn to them. Ooh. Haven't been doing too hot. G2, they faced off against Unicorns of Love in a rematch of the Spring Finals, which may have gone the same way. But on the other side, it was Unicorns of Love who had the upper hand, the Fisho, in that match.
I mean, at this point, it's not really surprising. G2 is managing to lose so many different games. I think a lot of times they don't actually know what it is they want to play. Because the drafts are kind of all over the place. Randomly, we saw AP Kennen top lane come in yesterday when they were actually trying to win like 3 lanes at once. So Kennen ended up losing his lane against like pure hard engage come from Unicorns. And they just fell really far behind in the mid game and just got stomped. And the castle in the last game as well was actually super good from Exile. Yeah. So it's just really weird watching G2 play because they don't understand the meta or what they want to play. And I really think some of the members are underperforming as well after the holiday. Like, Expect is not looking good at all in the top lane.
Oh, this, can you explain why you needed this yesterday? What do you think G2 has been doing? Larry?
All I said was that, you know the story of the cursed monkey paw?
It's a cursed monkey paw.
Do you know this, like, you know
no.
what it is, right? You don't know what it is?
Well, I know it can be cursed.
Yeah, so basically when you wish for something, you're going to get it, but you have to, of course, pay a price. So I feel like G2 actually wished for international success, and the price they paid was that now they're stuck in Europe. So they're basically like, Fnatic has now taken the throne because G2 got international success due to the cursed monkey paw. So that's why we had the monkey.
Just watching this without sound, just a visual going like this, like EULCS broadcast, man. We don't need you anymore, Larry, so peace out. So I would like to ask you guys, just from your perspective, what's kind of going wrong with G2, or why have they still not been able to catch up to the level that they were before MSI, Caps?
I think it's a bit hard question, but I think when they first came back, there was obviously some things they didn't know. They didn't know what to play. They didn't have they hadn't played for some time, probably only played it like a game at home or something a day. But now I feel like they should all know exactly what to play. And you can't really blame it on them not knowing the meta anymore, because it's been like multiple weeks. So at this point, I really don't know what's going on wrong with them. I think they maybe just lost belief in themselves. Before they were riding on momentum. They always knew, always we're playing against the EU team, now we can win.
Yeah.
But now they came back, and they lost to us. Then they lost to Misfits, I think. And then in the beginning they said like, oh, it's just the picks. But now maybe they're just beginning to believe, or maybe we're not as good as we thought and stuff like this.
I'm starting to doubt. How bad can the kind of doubt be when it creeps into the team so as?
I'm not really sure. I don't think they're like adapting too well in terms of picks and bans. Like as I was saying earlier, in terms of like picking CC, like in the 2 games they played against UL, that 0 CC. They're having Kha'Zix, Rumble, Lucian, and so when you pick this sort of comp, if you don't win early game or like get bottom turret or you get like a big advantage by laning, then you will not do that much, you know. So I think they are playing like before they are playing the same thing sort of, but now it just feels like their macro is not as good as before. Maybe other team catched up. Maybe they are just simply worse, and they cannot just win out of macro game anymore.
Do you guys think there's another team in Europe who can kind of reach the level G2 showed at MSI in playoffs? Or do you think now that we just have to accept that maybe this G2, for whatever reason, is just not going to be there, and we just lost like a top team? Or can Fnatic maybe get to that level?
Well, cannot know.
Caps?
I mean, it's hard to say, but we obviously play very differently from G2 and what they did last split as well. So if we were to go for a run like G2 did, it would be a different kind of run, I think.
I see. So
a better one.
A better
Better
one.
one.
I mean,
win the final.
we would win,
Win the
of course. We
final.
would beat them.
Yeah.
So let
A
me
more
ask
exciting one.
a more exciting
We
final.
wouldn't be happy after one win against SKT.
Damn.
Let me ask it in a different way. Is it still 100% certainty that G2 wins the final and becomes the Summer Split champions? Like they have for the... No. So that in itself, I think, is a pretty big statement, because we wouldn't have doubted it. We didn't doubt it for the last year and a half, right? So, or?
I mean, obviously the first split that came in, we didn't go like G2 is going to take this. But I think Summer Split, they were pretty heavy favorites for most of it, and obviously won every single series. Spring Split was the same. So yeah, I think this is probably the first one after they kind of took over the #1 seed in Europe, where we can go like, we're getting a little bit concerned, but I still think they have plenty of time to catch back up and be ready for playoffs.
And if anything, it's super exciting. Let's take a look at the standings after the rough start to the split for G2. They've given up a lead to Fnatic in those standings. So you guys are steadily in #1 in Group A, and then H2K and Unicorns of Love are tied for first in Group B. Is there any other surprise for you guys outside of Fnatic being at the top? That probably isn't a surprise for you guys.
Fnatic has a loss.
Yeah, Fnatic has a loss.
I really wonder what happened in the Rocket series, actually.
The Kingslayers. Yeah. Mysterious Monkeys and Ninjas and Pyjamas, they're at the bottom, but I feel like we've seen some good things from them. Mysterious Monkeys with the new members. What did you guys think? Can they climb up over Vitality in Group B?
I mean, I will need to like rewatch the games, like our games, to see. I mean, they gave us more difficulties than like most of the team we played. I think even though we lost versus Rocket, it was more like we lost to ourselves. I felt like more than them playing any good. third game was a bit different. I don't feel like we're really into the game, but yeah.
I think Monkeys played actually much better
They have
today.
the potential.
They have the potential, yeah. Classic caster comment. They have the potential to be great.
Buzzword.
I think Kik is an amazing. I think Kik showed some pretty good things. I actually kind of like the Aatrox. I know obviously it's a really cheesy pick, but I think it actually made sense.
We don't like the word cheese.
It's a cheesy
strategy.
pick. It's a cheesy.
It's a
Okay,
strategy.
fine. It's a different strategy, but I think the pick was pretty good. Amazing performance, was a little bit up and down. There was some good moves, some bad moves as well.
Maybe he wanted to prove himself
He
really
definitely wanted to
hard
prove
in that
himself.
game.
But they just got they actually got really close certain times, and they ended up hurting themselves. Like they get 2 Barons, and they got 2 negative Baron power plays where they got Baron, lost the fight to you guys, lost like multiple towers, and then they got a Baron again and did the same thing.
At least they got Barons.
They did get Barons, and I think they showed some pretty cool things that I think for some of the other games, like I actually think they can take games off some other teams now.
Yeah, I think so too. But well, the top teams, Unicorns of Love and Fnatic, you guys, in my head, you're both aggressive. So then easily it's like, oh, they're playing the same style. But Senkux was actually bringing up yesterday, no, it's actually a completely different style because Fnatic is much more focused on the split push and getting advantages in a different way besides just the team fights. And they were of the opinion that Unicorns of Love yesterday weren't going to win the series simply because they only have one style and they always play the same style. So I want to ask you guys about how strong do you think the Unicorns of Love are at their style, and will it last them this time through to possibly make it to the highest ranks of the EULCS?
What do you think, Caps?
I mean, every time we play against Unicorns of Love, at least in scrims, we haven't really played them that much on stage. But every time we played them in scrims, it's always the same where you see Hylissang and Suxe running down mid lane and jumping in on me with Zac and some blitzcrank. And it's really frustrating for me as a mid laner at least to play against because I've never seen that hard camp as Unicorns does. And I think maybe that's a bit of the difference where they play a lot around mid. And we play a lot around side lanes and pushing the sides. They're really good at just grouping mid and just engaging, you know.
Yeah, the underestimation is still there though, always, for the Unicorns of Love, isn't it?
I mean, kinda. It's just because they play so different and it takes many risks in the gameplay. So like a lot of times a mid laner like Caps is gonna be like, why is this guy mid lane now? He shouldn't be here. That's a bad play they're making.
Great play.
And then he dies, obviously, from it because he didn't expect him to be there. And then the play actually worked. So they gamble a lot in the way they're playing, and that's why some of the games they can actually get a big advantage, and other games they can fall really far behind due to the play backfiring.
Who's like the furthest away from the Unicorns of Love in terms of style of the top teams?
H2K.
And why? Yeah. And I feel like H2K has been trying to insert more aggressiveness, maybe for that reason alone, because they do keep falling to an aggressive Fnatic, to an aggressive Unicorns of Love. So do you think that's maybe where they need to improve the most?
I mean, it's definitely a problem for them that they react extremely poorly when someone is actually playing very aggressive against them. So that if they want to, win the EULCS, then that's definitely something you need to work on. I mean, they're saying in scrims they're doing the same. They're playing super fast and like trying to make a lot of plays. I don't know if you guys are scrimming H2K a lot and if that's true or not, but that's what Fabian just said in the interview.
Yeah.
Clearly not working on stage.
They do play differently, I think, in scrims. I mean, I can only see from my point of view, like, mostly like jungle top, but I feel like jungle top play a lot of defense in scrims. And I mean, I personally feel like Odom, they play a really defense when I play him in scrims and when I play him in LCS.
Is he more aggressive in scrims or?
I mean, he will tend to be like more proactive. Like in LCS, it feels really easy to read him or like what he's gonna do or what he's thinking.
But I mean, I guess most teams are playing differently on stage. Again, compared to scrims, because in scrims, people will always go for like more risks. And when we went to come down to the later blocks of the scrims, then like almost more risks.
Does Fnatic have the best scrim record in EU?
Oh.
I think we should stop screaming actually.
Stop screaming.
Probably got blacklist a little bit from time to time.
Oh, no. Is it so as a...
It's SOAS.
It's always SOAS. I knew it.
It's always
yeah.
been like Timo top running down.
Yeah, it's always that. All
It
right.
always hurts my heart when I hear about European scrims because it's often just like people doing really dumb things and then they don't do it on stage. So they don't actually get anything
then they're like,
from the practice. It's like, oh, God.
Well, we'll see how that evolves also for H2K. And as we move on, we've also seen some big performances in the mid lane over the first 4 weeks of the summer split. And Caps, you were kind enough to share your power rankings. Caps making a list.
Wait, who's first?
And then, there we go. So you put yourself first, which is nice to see. And then second, Nuke Duck, which is already a point of contention. Perks, Febby, Power of Evil, Senkux, Exile, Magnate, Betsy, and Kosku. So, first up, why do you think you're first? Or why do you rank yourself?
I mean, I think it's always hard to do a ranking, right? But I just feel like when I play the other mid laners, there's not really any mid laner in particular that stands out right now. And I think the top, like with last split, there was Perks who stood out, and every time you played him, you could feel it, right? But right now in the top, there's not really any mid laner that stands out. And I saw Nuke Dog stand out against some of the other mids, so I thought he would be really high. But I mean, I just chose to put myself high, so
yeah, fine.
Someone has to be, you know?
So, Nuke Duck, what do we think about Nuke Duck in the second place? Because he's someone who had on and off games, right? And we've actually had question marks for the longest time. Does he still have it? He's at least shown it a bit, I think, this split, the Fisho. But do you think he deserves the second spot?
I probably wouldn't put him second myself, but I would have him in top 4. I think he's very underrated by the community because they often remember some of the bad games that Nuke Duck can have, and he has been somewhat inconsistent, but there's actually a lot of games where his team is just losing around him, and he's doing extremely well in his own lane and getting early kills, and kind of the only guy making sure this team can actually get into the mid game and not being just out of the game already. So I think he's playing well, but I probably would personally put him under Perks and Febivent right now.
Would you put Caps on number 1?
I think right now, Caps number 1 is actually very fair.
Oh, there we go. So, what are your thoughts about the rankings? Anyone who's out of place?
I mean, talking about Nuke Duck, I feel like when you feel like you're performing good yourself and you're not necessarily doing so well as a team, you tend to like focus a bit too much on yourself. But what I like about Nuke Duck is that even though he probably feels like he's performing good, but he's still like proactive with his team, and he still look for play to make with his team. So he's still like, he's not only focused about himself. So I think that's a really good thing for him.
Why is the mid laner for the second best team in the league at number 7? Exile, why did you put it so low? And what is for you kind of, if you have to go over Power of Evil, Senkux, and Exile, why did you put them in their positions?
I mean, I think it's always hard to rate people, right? But I think right now, the last couple of weeks, Exile has had a really rough few weeks, and it's actually kind of weird because the first week he was really showing up, and we scrimmed him before the split started, and he was performing really well. But then as the split started progressing, it just became worse and worse, I feel like. And I'm not sure if there's something wrong with him. Maybe
meta feeling.
Yeah, either that or he lost grasp of the meta. But I mean, there's definitely some problems for him right now.
Yeah, we're definitely looking for him to climb back up the rankings. The Fisho, some thoughts?
Yeah, I think with the Exile one, like for me, sure, some of the meta or some of the picks he has is maybe not what other mid laners are going for. He's playing a lot of Ryze as one of the only guys. Only Nuke Duck also played it. I think actually in the world right now. But I think for me, mainly the thing with Exile is it's not even so much like mechanics or anything. It's just like he's making really weird and bad decisions in the game, like unnecessary decisions. Like he will lose his flash, sit on 20% HP, and instead of going back and recalling, he will just run forward and start pushing in towards the enemy tower, and he just gets ganks and dies. So it seems like just mentally he's trying way too hard to do stuff when he doesn't need to.
Maybe it's one of two things, right? Xerxes comes into that lineup and does amazing and is making all the right moves. Maybe he feels like he has to kind of match that. Or the way I look at it is we have all these arcs of progression, and what Perks talked about last year, where he said, yeah, you start by being mechanically really strong as a mid laner and you can out 1v1 them, then you play LCS or you play the professional competition. You have to learn different things. You have to learn to hold back. You have to learn the macro. And for me, that's where Exile, he's not really taken that next step. And I see that in you, Caps, for instance. Obviously, you've had experience in the TCL as well, but you don't just jump in like a headless chicken anymore sometimes, you know?
He does that a lot.
He does that a lot.
Scrim.
Oh, never mind. So maybe he just needs someone to push him to the next step.
Sure, I mean, that's obviously where you have your team around you and your coach, and I would think at this point that Exile will look at the VODs as well and kind of figure out, okay, am I doing the right thing? Yeah. Probably not.
Yeah. But we can see can also be a huge advantage if Exile goes back up for the Unicorns of Love staying there. Any final thoughts on the rankings?
I want to know what Caps needs to improve on. What is Caps' weakness, according to Caps and then according to Source?
There's too many.
I said
We'll be there really late.
No, but
The perfect player.
no,
Right.
but I mean, it's hard to. I hate saying like flaws and strengths, you know. But
Sure.
because you can always just say like I need to improve in everything, you know. But yeah, I think it's just about playing. Maybe I mean you can always say that taking more scrims, more like LCS, and playing more consistently in scrims, so that the scrims will match the LCS performance, because a lot of our scrims are, you know, a bit more aggressive, I guess, than those days. So.
Because of who?
Because yeah, I mean, there's a team thing, you know.
All right. So Soas wants to see Caps take it more seriously, even in scrims. Correct?
I think it's like not an individual thing. It's a bit for everyone. It depends. It depends of the days as well sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right. All right.
I mean,
Good old
it
Fnatic
happens,
scrims.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
happens to a lot of teams, honestly. Probably us and UL a bit more than others, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll round it off there. Thank you so much, Caps, for making your list and the insight. We'll have to see who lives up to the title of EU Mid as cross-group play continues next week. Do you still remember the list meme? Anyone?
The Caps' list?
Yeah, Caps'
Oh.
list.
Oh, I do. I remember.
We brought it up. We went there. So for now, we're going to move on and take a look at some few players that have made a strong impression. Here are your LCS big plays of the week, brought to you by Acer. First up, Misfits Gaming. They brought a new meaning to All In versus Vitality, and @Agasotero9 tweeted, "That is a Jarvan plus Orianna combo right there, to the face, stomped."
The theory is that you get a lot of extra AP onto those auto attacks. I still feel... Oh, as Counter-Shot gets grabbed.
We may not be able to answer that question. Shockwave on 3! Fisher Fisher comes down. The baby cage locks in Vitality. They can't escape. It's a double kill for Power of Evil.
Yeah, what did you say, Caps?
I said, imagine if we didn't have Nash's too, then maybe the shockwave would hit a bit more harder, you know.
I saw a few autos in there.
Yeah.
No, adding some value.
Don't hate. They won. They won the series. They're placed really highly.
It was actually a pretty sick wombo combo.
It was.
And the best part about that replay is that if you just keep running that replay, you actually get an even better play.
Oh, yeah?
The
Yeah.
Blitz.
Oh, the
The
signal.
Blitz, exactly. So better Blitz than you then, Soas?
Yeah, for sure better Blitz than Jesse's.
yeah.
Then Jess, I was asking about you. Yeah, all right. Well, funny thing, in the same game, Ignar, he pulled off an insane Blitzcrank hook. And @MCFan95 quickly drew the comparison to a certain big name support. There we go.
Soas.
Lucian no flash.
I slow.
I was survived.
All together? Oh! No, yeah, only me. All right, cool. Nice, calculated. Good stuff from Ignar.
Yes.
Okay. Was that crazy? I don't know, man. Come on, guys. It was a crazy play.
I mean, they do this every time.
When
Yeah.
when we watched it, Jesse's was really not impressed. He was like, it's just Lucian being bad.
But Jesse
He
has
was
not
just
been
jelly.
impressed. He's not been impressed about anything. He was asked about the Rift rivals yesterday, and he was like, you know, EU and NA, and he's like, oh, they're both bad. Like,
I
both
was
EU
like,
and NA
oh,
are they're not good. He's just shooting it down completely. So Jess is not easily impressed. That's what we're going to take away from this. Well, final play, the Unicorns of Love, they got the win against G2 in no small part to the spring MVP. Tom's X called it out for what it was. Dirty stuff from Vizicachi and a Baron for the Unicorns of Love.
Long approach, there's no safe wave clear. All the ground has been worked, but the fight looks like it may get started off anyway. Teleport coming into the backside. Where's the equalizer? It is what G2 needs, but it may be too little too late. Expect goes wide, gets knocked up. The chain CC comes in. He does not have the items to stay safe, but Mithy has keep going. That's explosive. The engage comes in. Cersei's hungry for blood. Out comes the ult. Die, 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 he says. Makes it look clean.
Massive 4-0 going in the favor of Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, Spring Split MVP. Soas, how do you think our Spring Split MVP has been doing, you know, lately, Vizicachi?
I don't know. I think he's okay.
I think he's okay. Who's the best top laner in the league?
Me.
You're the best top laner. Well, you have the same
Fnatic
thing as
number one
Kev.
in every role.
Every single
Every
role.
role is Fnatic number one.
Yeah? What would you say? Who's the best top laner?
Right now? I mean, the sad thing is I almost have to go Source.
Oh, there we go.
He is actually playing really well.
Why is Odawamne not there for you? Why is Chachi not there? Why is Expect not there? Why is Alfari not there?
I mean, with Odamne, we talked about this earlier. You know, on the stage, very clearly, you're not seeing the same performance as you do in scrims from him. And I think now, due to some of the big games, obviously not going in favor of H2K, it's kind of hurt his performance as well, just a little bit. I think Chachi's had some good individual games, but he's also had some games where he just gets ganked and dies like way too much, which is, of course, something we've seen in the past from him. But it's kind of hard to not look at the Fnatic players, especially, you know, the two guys next to me, because they are actually doing really well. And it annoys me to say when you're sitting right here. But
going to Korea is better than playing MSI.
Apparently.
Well, that's actually up for debate.
Depends if you're stuck in Diamond 3.
Someone was stuck in Diamond 3 in Korea? Did I hear this right?
I was going Diamond 1, but
didn't have time.
I mean, we had a week, you know.
Yeah.
Where were you? Where did you end up, Caps?
I got Challenger.
Last day Challenger.
As expected.
So did Chachi and Zerxe.
Yeah.
With
so.
highlighting.
Duo Q abuse, and I played against him, and he was abusing Zach.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
I played against them a lot actually.
In the start, I assume, before they got high ranked.
I was the Diamond 1, and they're like Plat 1 promos, and they're just abusing top lane. Both of them. Just camping top.
Really good.
Hey, it's a strategy as well. We'll just have it noted that Caps is the best in, in ranked games, is the best in scrims, is the best in his personal list.
But now the pressure's on these guys. You know, if someone else comes in and starts beating them on the rankings. Ooh.
Now they're all out for you now, so that's what it feels like.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, we'll be back here in Berlin next week for more League of Legends as cross-group play continues with the Ninjas in Pyjamas versus the Mysterious Monkeys, Fnatic versus Splice, H2K versus Misfits, G2 versus Mysterious Monkeys rather. So Fnatic versus Splice, I do want to talk about that one after seeing what you have from Splice, Caps, and how do you think that matchup is going to go for you guys?
So we saw some pretty interesting stuff from Splice last week when they played the Unicorns.
Aurelion Sol God versus Aurelion Sol God.
Malzahar, some Kassadin.
He got nerfed now though, the Malzahar.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
And then wait, what was he playing Malzahar against? Galio, right?
Galio.
Okay, I thought it was Ryze. I was going to say that I will not blind pick Ryze. So.
Yeah. So how do you think it's going to go?
I mean, I think Splice is pretty annoying to play, at least from like my own position. I think Wonder is really good top, and I think he's playing well with Trashy on top lane, so gonna be interesting matchup for sure.
Definitely so. G2 is playing the Mysterious Monkeys. So,
I mean,
maybe the upset's in the making.
The scary thing is Mysterious Monkeys look pretty good today. Like, okay, they looked okay today.
I think G2 can probably take a game.
This should be the game where G2 will bounce back, but I don't think it's as clear-cut as I would have said a week ago before the roster changes happened.
We're going to go again. Yeah, this was where they should bounce back. And when they don't, well, next week is where they should bounce back.
No, if they do not bounce back here, then it's panic, you know.
Then it's panic.
He did say after Rift Rivals they wouldn't draw again.
Yeah.
That's true, he did say after Rift Rivals.
Well, we're going to have to panic because we're sending G2 is one of the European representatives at Rift Rivals. So as Europe, we're going to have
P1. Still better than P1. So not as bad.
Tricks Nidalee, Mike Young's Nidalee. I don't know.
One ban. We need
we need a ban. All right.
Nidalee in 2017.
Yeah. Hey, final thoughts maybe for Rift Rivals. You guys excited to play some international competition? It's been a while, Soaz.
What competition? No.
Trying to
I'm gonna give you a chance.
I mean, it's always interesting to play against teams that usually don't play against. And since it's, I mean, I'm obviously more looking forward to play against C9 and TSM. Hopefully, like we can learn a lot. I feel like it's different for us to learn a lot of things because we are playing such a different style than other teams. So hopefully, we can get as much as we can.
Oh yeah, actually, you guys play a very different style. So all you can do is give information in that tournament. That sucks.
Well, they can also win the tournament.
Right.
All the European fans really happy.
Are really happy. Caps, final. Are you excited to play versus Björksen versus Jensen?
Yeah, I mean, and the teams ascending, all three teams actually have a pretty hype mid laner. So it's definitely going to be fun. I think those are the three NA mids I would probably play against the most. Pobble is playing really well lately, but other than that, Jensen, Björksen, also Danes. So
yeah, exactly.
that gives them and maybe an equal chance. You know?
An equal chance
To get clapped.
to get caps.
All right, cool. Well, that is it then. I'm really looking forward to that and to the continuation of cross group play. Time for us to call it a night here from week 4. Thank you guys very much. Thank you guys very much for joining me, and we'll see you again next week as the EULCS continues. Have a great night. Au revoir.
It's Saturday though, but they forget the other 3 players for some reason. Well, we have 3 more players. Actually, I can dangle.
Mid lane, Draco.
Oh, leap forward, Koski over to the brush, but that's gonna be trouble for Caps. That's so much damage going down, flashing out with the red buff. No, yes, the auto comes in.
Top side, we don't need to fight. Nice, nice. Oh!
Right there's the stun. Oh, knockback. Beautiful force of will to scatter the weak to save the team, but Dream still may drop out. They're going to find game 1 here against the Mysterious Monkeys. But you can see they're trying to find the pick. Dreams does get taken down. Fnatic once again in control. Instantly get aggressive into the mid lane. Yuki gets popped.
Blitz. Guys, I can Solani. I can combo. Centra. Come to me. I'm slow. I got Centra. No, you're good. Nice. Can we go? Yes. Back pick, my folder. No, not your folder. No, mate!
Oh, man. Why didn't I get it?
What is this game? What is this draft, by the way?
That's gonna be it. Mysterious Monkeys, no match for the snowballing Fnatic.
You guys are. Oh, hey, it's Frank. Hey, Frank. Hey, Frank. Hey.
Shook is going to tag his way in. There's the axe, and all of a sudden the flame spitter's on. It was all a bait. It's first blood. Against the Elder, against all 5 members of H2K, and he covers it. It's going to get a hell of a shutdown right now. And look to take 1-0 in the lead on the series. And then all across the map, we're seeing some moves all over the place. Prophet trying to be tough, and he's going to survive until Jankos comes forward with a stretching strike to finish the job.
Maybe I can take top tower for the damage at alone.
Oh my god, sorry.
No, come on, bro.
PQ gets pulled right back into the team, into the waiting arms of Nuclear as Shook trying to make his great escape, but Odoamne says, oh no, you don't! Nagne, get over here! Looks like Prophet's going to be able to get at least 1 kill in the end. Nagne tries to be the hero, but it is just not enough. Prophet is the last man standing, is going to try one more time, but the hook pulls him in for the quadra kill. But in the end, it is H2 what? H2-0, baby.